Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. I know, right? I know. It is amazing that you guys don't get tired of me live streaming every day because I think I've live streamed practically every day for the past 2 weeks. But you guys keep coming back. So as long as you keep coming back, I'm gonna be here. We are on VypDrive, episode 84. Got my man Brandon Butch waiting in the wings. And YouTube just let you all know that I'm live. So the entirety of Vipe Nation now knows that we are live. I was trying to, scramble to get a video out. I got the video out finally. So a new video is out on the main channel. So you guys can go watch that after we're done here. But yeah, man, it's taking me longer and longer to do my videos now because I'm putting more little details and nuances into them. So it's taking a little longer, but you guys don't care about that. You're here for the podcast. So that's what we're going to do. Let me get into the introduction and then we can go to work. Oh, knock that over. So, this is VypDrive, episode 84, baby. And with episode 84, brings one of the longtime tech creators on YouTube to the platform. Brandon Butch is coming up next on VypDrive, which starts now. What's up, people? This your boy Viper, the man about tech, and welcome back to another episode of VypDrive. This is the podcast about tech, hosted by the man about tech. And as I just alluded to in my introduction, I have a long-time YouTube tech creator and Apple guru coming up. Let's bring in Mr. Brandon Butch to the podcast. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
I am good, man. I am good. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem, man. No problem. So, same question I ask every first-time guest that comes on the podcast. Brandon, what brought you to YouTube?
I wish I had a straightforward answer. So it was in 2008. So this was, if you think back to the time, it was just a few years after YouTube launched. So basically in my school, I started in high school. So I had a lot of people always ask me about jailbreaking. I jailbroke my iPod Touch back in the day. And I had a lot of people in school asking me how I did this, how I got this icon here, how I got these apps for free, things like that. So I figured, they're asking me and I showed them in school. I was like, hey, I'll just buy a camera and upload it to YouTube. I don't even know what my thought process was behind it because nobody was doing that back then. But I uploaded my first video and it got, 3 million views, I believe it ended up having, which was kind of a piracy video. It was, how to get paid apps for free. It was the first one on YouTube. So that got taken down eventually. But I kept with the jailbreak stuff and just kind of went from there. Really the first video took off because that wasn't really a thing. It wasn't big, on YouTube back then. So it's kind of funny because I was always afraid to tell, the people in school. It was kind of embarrassing because, you record yourself, with a phone, uploading it to the internet. It was like foreign back then. Right. So I was always embarrassed to tell everybody, but it worked out.
I would say so. I would. Like 12 years and 470 some odd thousand subscribers later, you're still on the platform getting it done, man.
Yeah. It's been a process. A lot of pivoting.
Oh, I can imagine. So right now, the most of the content that you're doing is you're doing Apple content, you're doing the iOS betas, you're doing leaks, things like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to get your opinion. Since you just told me that you started off with jailbreaking, do you still think here in 2020 that it's worth it to jailbreak an iPhone?
Yes and no. I think it's only worth it to jailbreak the newer iPhones because if you try to jailbreak an older phone nowadays, it's just going to be really slow and kill your battery life. So it's really only worth it to jailbreak like the iPhone 10 and above, in my opinion. But it's less and less. It's like Apple is just, listening and paying attention to the jailbreak community and just stealing all of the tweak ideas and making it, more like, what's the point of jailbreaking? Now you got dark mode, you got, so many different things that you used to have to jailbreak for. And now with the new multitasking view and all these other things that are rumored for iOS 14, it's like, what's the point? So I think it is for a certain, select people. But I'd say for the majority of people now after iOS 13, especially because dark mode was one of the most popular tweaks, probably not. But again, it's just going to come down to personal preference.
Yeah, dark mode was something that we have been clamoring for a long time, and it seemed like it took Apple forever to get it to it. But finally, with iOS 13, we are on the dark mode train.
Yeah. And Alex just said in the chat in 2008 you couldn't even make money on YouTube. Exactly. So it was just a hobby thing. You know, I came home from school every
Right.
day. I would try to record before my parents came home because I was embarrassed. You know, I was in the kitchen shooting a video real loud talking. And it was just something I liked doing. I mean, I did it every single day like clockwork after school.
Now, most of the content you do on YouTube right now is Apple. I'm curious, have you ever dabbled on the Android side of things?
Yeah, I've made some Android videos as well. You know, I have a relationship with Google with the Pixel phone, so I review those. They send those over, and I review those because I mean, I don't hate Android. That's the thing. A lot of people think that just because I make a lot of Apple content, I just hate Android, but that's not the
Right.
case. I mean, if you go back to my channel and search for Samsung, you'll see me compare Samsung to Apple, and I never really say anything bad, like biased towards Samsung. It's just personal preference, and I lay out the details, and you make up your mind. So I've used Android. I have the S20 Ultra. Not a fan, but but yeah, I don't mind Android. I don't mind Android as long as it's not $1,500 and autofocus doesn't work.
We gonna get into that in a minute. But I am glad that you said that about how you don't like bash Android. You give people the facts and then you allow them to make up their own mind. Because as you know, especially in these YouTube comment sections and things like that in the tech space, there is this ongoing, never-ending debate between iOS fanboys, Android fanboys, this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, they both really do the same thing. They just take different routes to get to the end, but they both do the same stuff. So there's really no right or wrong operating system to use. I always tell people, Brandon, use what works best with your workflow. Use what you're most comfortable with. I mean, like I said, there's no right or wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like if people have been using Android for a long time, it's going to be a lot harder to convert them. So it's not even a point in doing that. If it works for them, they've been using it for 10 years. Why switch? So that's how I view it.
All right, let me see. Okay, I got it right here. So let's go back to the shot that you just fired live on the podcast. I mean, we're not even 10 minutes into the podcast, and Mr. Butch is out here firing shots, you all. But he's talking about this phone that I have in my hand. For those of y'all listening on audio only, I am holding the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. Brandon said he's not a fan. I know why he's not a fan. Look, he's holding his too. It's like Galaxy S20 Ultra solidarity for like the next 2 seconds before it goes out the window. But still, it is what it is.
See the dust on it. There's quite a bit of dust on the camera right now.
He said you can see the dust on it. Oh man, he has a $1,500 phone over there collecting dust. That is savagery of the epic proportions, man. Wow. All right, so we know that the S20 Ultra has had issues with the autofocus. Is that the biggest gripe you have, or do you have other gripes with the device?
I mean, my biggest gripe to begin with was the price. I mean, I think just like everybody else, it was like we saw what came before and everything they said. Like the cameras, it seemed cool, like when they introduced it, but it just seemed like it was just more marketing. Like there was apps that could do the stuff, like for iOS, that could do the stuff that the S20 does, like the 100x zoom or whatever, and like all these other features. And plus, we had already seen like the iPhone 11 with night mode and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just thought the price point to begin with was an issue, and then for that to happen with the autofocus on the camera, it's just like it just made it that much worse to me.
So, is there like anything else besides the autofocus that you dislike about the device, or is that just the main thing? Yeah.
No, yeah, that's just the main thing. I mean, because I feel like when you pay that much for a phone, everything should work perfectly, flawlessly, and it didn't. So,
especially when the whole marketing focus of this device is the camera system.
Exactly.
And when it doesn't work out of the box, I mean, you are literally playing like Russian roulette when you take a picture with the S20 Ultra. When you snap it, if you just go point and shoot, you either get a blurry picture or you get a great photo. There's no in between.
Right. Yeah. I used it for like 2 weeks and I just quit after that. So whatever.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I've had a similar issue with my S20 Ultra. The autofocus works when it wants to. It's kind of bad. But what other phone devices do you have over there at the moment?
I have all the iPhones just laid out on my desk right now. I just keep the iPhones on my desk just because I do a lot of the comparisons and can you still use it in 2020 type phones? But I also have the Pixel over here. I have the Note 10, devices like that. So
let's hear your thoughts about the iPhone SE 2020 because the device was just released almost a month ago. It's a great device, although it's received a fair share of flack from the tech YouTubers out there. But I think it's a solid device for what it brings to the table.
I do too. And I mean, the white is easily my favorite color. I mean, this, I think, shocked me because I expected red to be my favorite color. But the device itself, though, is great. I mean, it's pretty much, the red. I like the red too. I like the white the best. But no, I mean, the iPhone SE 2020 is pretty much what we expected. I mean, I feel like we had been hyping this up for so long and it's what we expected and people were still upset. So I didn't really understand how people were upset with it after we knew what it was going to be all along. I mean, it's new software with old hardware. I don't really know what people really expected with it. So I like it. I mean, the battery life's good. I did a battery test video comparing it to all the modern phones and the phones around it, and it outperformed the iPhone 8 in the battery test. And it got really close to other phones that you wouldn't think it would get close to. So I mean, I think it's a solid device, super fast, and I love the portability. I actually liked going back to Touch ID, which I was surprised by. I still prefer Face ID, but it's a solid device, especially for that price point.
All right, see, we disagree with the battery life because I don't think the battery life is that good. I mean, it's not the worst, but it definitely could be a lot better on this device.
Yeah.
But I mean, for what you get for $400, you get the A13, you get 4 to 5 years of iOS updates, you get some of the latest technology in this device. I mean, it's solid. I think it's the best phone in this price range for sure.
I agree, 100%.
And it's definitely going to sell more than any other smartphone in 2020 for sure. Automatically.
Yep, I believe
automatically. That. So you're a tech YouTuber. So actually, you're a tech YouTuber who covers Apple content. So being a tech YouTuber that covers Apple content, it is impossible, Brandon, to not notice what is going on with our buddy John Prosser. What do you think about all these Apple leaks that Jonathan dropping in 2020, man? Isn't it crazy?
Insane. It's unprecedented. I mean, I've never seen, I mean, not even just on YouTube or like a journalist leaking it, just in general, leaks in general. I don't think there's ever been this many leaks for Apple ever. So I think it's crazy.
It's like, and it's not just that the leaks are happening, it's the preciseness of the leaks and how they're happening and when they're happening. Like it's like you said, we have never seen this in the tech space before, ever.
No. That's crazy. And the accuracy, because we used to rely on like Ming Chi Kuo and everything, these reports that would just sparingly come out, and Macroom was post an article and it's it was right 50% of the time, but now it's like he's calling it way in advance and it's accurate, and he's even going against Ming Chi Kuo and disagreeing with them on the release date and ended up being right. So yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy. So one of the big things that he just dropped a bomb about is Apple's AR glasses. So what are your preliminary thoughts on those?
I saw that. Yeah. I mean, I don't wear reading glasses, so I will still get them. Obviously, I cover everything Apple on my channel, but I think it's cool. I mean, there's really nothing like that. I mean, that just brought back memories of Google Glass, and I'm wondering about. I think I heard you talking about the podcast yesterday or whenever it was about places prohibiting you wearing these inside. So I'm curious how that's going to work out because it's Apple this time instead of Google. I'm sure they saw what happened there and they're going to make sure that doesn't happen this go around.
Well, the one thing about the AR glasses that we know so far is that it will not have a camera on it, so there's no concerns about privacy. I mean, obviously, it will have the LiDAR scanner to engage that AR aspect, but there's no camera on it. It doesn't even have a speaker on these glasses, apparently. So I think Apple will realize what happened with Google Glass, and they are taking the time to make sure that Apple Glass doesn't cause the same privacy concerns that Google Glass caused 8 years ago. Plus, they are supposedly going to look like actual glasses and not some type of crazy tech like Google Glass did. So obviously, we know when Apple makes a device, they are making it for the mass consumer public. They're not making it for like ultra tech nerds. So
exactly,
it's gonna be interesting if they make their release date of 2021. It should be interesting to see how that goes, especially with the first iteration relying on the iPhone for data processing. That'll be interesting.
Right. Yeah. Just like the Apple Watch. Yeah. I think the price point also came in a lot lower than people expected. I saw people predicting, $1,000 to $1,500, and it's like half that. So it should be a pretty big hit. I mean, that's something where it's still like untapped. There's a lot of people who probably don't even care about tech, but when they see what these things can do, kind of like a Tesla, people may drive, a Honda Civic, and then all of a sudden they see what the Tesla can do. They never knew they needed it. And then they buy one and are amazed with it. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a hit if it's solid and there's not a lot of issues with it, which I doubt if it's Apple. So
yeah, I mean, obviously it'll have its first generation growing pains, but if Apple takes the time that they normally take with their devices, it'll be a hit, no doubt about it.
Yep, I agree.
So I'm curious. You cover Apple products and news and things like that. So you get your hands on a lot of Apple devices. So what is your favorite Apple device at the moment?
Overall, probably the AirPods Pro. I just use them every single day, especially with the announced messages with Siri feature. I can be on my bike ride, I can be cooking, I can be doing whatever, and I don't ever have to touch my phone to reply to text messages, to hear my music, to, block out the sounds around me. So many use cases for them. So I probably use those more than anything else. I actually also really like the HomePod. A lot of people don't agree with me, but I really like the HomePod.
Oh Lord, you like the HomePod? We might have to end the podcast right here.
So I have a shortcut set up that when I get home, when my phone detects that I get home, it automatically starts playing my HomePod. So my music is playing when I walk in the door. It's just great quality, and just I don't know. It's you can I could hear it upstairs, and I don't know. I just love it. I mean, I probably paid too much for it. Everybody probably did, but it's a solid device. And when you can link it up with shortcuts and have it do things like that, automations like that, I think it's pretty powerful, and I like it.
Yeah, I got it when it first came out. I think it was in 2018 or whatever. So I got it when it had all the shortcomings and whatnot. I know it's gotten a lot better over the past 2 years with updates and things like that. But man, the way they released it out of the gate all handicapped kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But there's a lot of talk about a possible successor or at least a HomePod Mini coming.
Yeah, that would be interesting. It would just have to depend on what it takes off the HomePod. Like, what's it not going to have that the HomePod has? So, I mean, if it's going to be worse audio quality, I'm probably not going to like it, because that's probably the best thing I like. The thing I like most about the HomePod is how great the audio quality is. So
absolutely, yeah. That is one thing I will say about the HomePod. The audio is spot on. It's legit.
The bass is crazy.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Shout out to the 39 of you all watching the podcast tonight. Thank you for joining me on another night for VypDrive. If you guys want to support the podcast, you do have the option to super chat. However, if you don't want YouTube taking 30% of your super chat donation, you can buy me a coffee. The link for that is in the description. So thank you guys for hanging out. Also, if you want to, and you're already subscribed to the channel, or even if you're not subscribed, you also have the option to become a channel member. If you want to do that, I'm going to paste the link in the chat for you guys to become a channel member. It is a monthly recurring fee. You don't have to do it. None of this stuff is required, by the way, but anything that you could do greatly helped out. Shout out to Janosin for pasting the coffee link in the chat. See y'all out there. Thank you. For those of you all listening on audio only, thank you for listening. If you want to support the podcast monetarily, there will be links in the show notes for you to do that. Also, if you happen to be listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving a rating or review as to help more people discover VypDrive. Thank you. So, Brandon, I pasted something on Twitter today. Oh, hold on. El Jefe, thank you for the super chat, sir. My head of security out there getting it done as always. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you. So, Brandon, I pasted something on Twitter today about how this YouTube stuff is extremely difficult. It's hard. Anybody who says that this is not a full-time job cannot be taken seriously, because they have no idea how much work we put into doing YouTube. Can you please back me up on this?
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's hard to talk about it online just because nobody understands. So, and I've mentioned it from time to time online, but it's just not worth it because nobody really understands what goes into it. It's one of the most mentally driven jobs you can ever have. Like you can't just sit down and make a video. Like, I think people tend to think that you can just sit down and make a video, but you have to have such a clear head. You have to have such a so many things can go wrong. There's something going on outside. You need water. It's just, I don't know. And there's so much research that goes into it. And this is something I preached when I was at VidSummit last year. So much research that goes into it. Like, that's the thing I always say, is that I'm not different than anybody else. Anybody can do what I'm doing. It's not like I'm, like Shaq was born super tall, so he has an advantage in basketball. With YouTube, nobody has an advantage. I mean, maybe I have, a nice voice, but that's it. You can probably learn that somewhere. but it's just down to the research. I mean, I research things so in depth that, I make my own spreadsheets for, a year and a half about the specific time I uploaded and how it performed before these tools were made available. I would sit there every single time I uploaded for a year and a half and track what time I uploaded and how it performed and just stuff like that. It's just a lot of research that goes into it, and you got to be willing to do a lot of research.
So I'm glad you brought up the research aspect, because as you said, it is a lot of research that goes into doing what we do, especially being tech content creators. There is no way you can be a tech content creator and not do your research, because you will look like an absolute fool out here. And there are people that watch your content that are smarter than you and more knowledgeable about your subject matter of area expertise. So they know what they expect to hear from you. And if they don't hear from you, they will know that you are not about this tech life at all.
100%. And that comment will get liked, and everybody that doesn't understand that will see that they said that, and then all of a sudden you're, discredited. So yeah, there's no way around it. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're talking about, and you just got to learn it.
No doubt, man. I want to bring up a comment that you made in one of my live stream chats a while ago. You said something to the extent of some of your relationships have been ruined because of you're doing YouTube. So can you, I mean, if you're willing, can you get into that a little bit? Just the impact of YouTube on the relationship, not the relationship.
I mean, this all just ties back to the mental aspect. I mean, there comes a time when people in your life are just too mentally draining, and you got to choose, one or the other. Is it work? Is it my whole future? Is it my life? Or is it this one person? So it's tough. And like I said, it just all comes down to the mental part. So that's about all I'll go into with that.
All right. I'm not mad. But yeah, like you said, like this YouTube stuff takes up so much time that at some point in your life, you're gonna have to make choices, and it might not always be the best choice for other people, but you got to make the best choice for you.
That's the other thing, time. That's what I forgot to mention too. It's like this is not a 9 to 5. It's not like, I mean, I set hours during the day that I work, but I cannot remember the last time I actually finished at the time I said I'm going to finish, or start at the time I'm going to start. So, I mean, there's days where you're going to be up, you're going to be up till 4 a.m. and get 3 hours of sleep and wake up and realize something came out in the morning. Like it's just a grind. It
is a literal grind, man. No doubt. Yeah. But
again, I just started taking weekends off, and that's changed everything.
Mm-hmm. I do the same thing. I don't work on weekends usually.
No, never.
So last year you went to VidSummit. So I'm curious to hear about your experience going to VidSummit, because I went the previous year.
Yeah, I didn't go the previous year, so I missed you. But
right.
VidSummit was amazing. So it was actually the first time I've ever went to any type of conference or CES, anything, period. So it was really cool to just experience that many people that do the same thing as me in one spot, because it's like, the reality is when you're a YouTuber in general, it's lonely. Like you're at home, you've got to have peace and quiet. You don't have a lot of time to hang out with other people unless you take the weekends off. So it gets lonely, and it gets like, you want to be able to tell people about YouTube and like the in-depth things, but you can't. I mean, you can maybe say it in text or, through a tweet or a DM or something, but it's not the same as being in person and being able to talk to this person about all the stuff that nobody else in the world understands. So I think that was the coolest part for me, was being able to connect with them on that level that I can't connect with anybody else on. And just meeting everybody. I mean, I made some great friendships out there, Devin, CJ, a lot of people I met out there, Brandon from This Is Tech Today, a lot of cool people I met out there, a lot of good connections. Space Station, the people from Space Station, Sean Holiday and Shonduras, all of them. Super cool.
Yeah, man, I would say that one of the best parts about going to VidSummit, as you alluded to, is the networking and meeting like-minded individuals that are doing the same thing that you are doing. I don't know if people could I don't know if you all could understand the excitement and the value level that you get just by interacting with your peers that are doing the same thing. I mean, it's one of the main reasons why I keep making videos, because I love talking to like-minded individuals who are passionate about technology.
Yeah. So you probably can't relate as much or I can't relate as much to you, because you interview people all the time doing this. So you're used to getting to talk to that. But for me, it was like a release. Like all of a sudden I could just talk to all these people about this. And, I wasn't doing interviews or anything like that before. I was just kind of cooped up doing it and everything in my head. So.
Oh, we got love from Renee Ritchie that can't stay, but Viper is the man, and Brandon is OG amazing. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Renee. Thanks for stopping by, man.
Love Renee stuff.
Me too, man.
If you guys are in here and haven't checked out Renee, awesome stuff.
What do you
talk about research? You talk about research.
Mm-hmm.
Renee is, he's got that research down.
He is the Jedi master of research. Hey, Tech and Damn It, thank you for the $5 super chat, sir. He said, Brandon, when did you decide to craft the name BBS iPod Touch Help Name? What?
He remembers. Yeah. So we met at VidSummit as well. Me and Michael there. So so that's crazy. There's still a few people that remember that name. That's my actual channel URL. If you go to a certain part of my channel, you'll see that was my URL. Oh. So BB's iPod Touch Help. So my initials are BB and iPod Touch Help, which clearly is a super old name, because all I had was an iPod Touch back then. I didn't have an iPhone. So the question was, when did I decide to scrap the name? Basically, whenever I realized that an iPod Touch was irrelevant. So basically, after like the iPhone, I believe the iPhone 4S or 5, somewhere around that time. And after that, I changed my name to my website. So I had a website as well called dailyiFix.com. So I shifted the name over to the website because I didn't want my personal name out there. I was still, in high school and young. So I was just like kind of afraid to have my name out there and my face. So I changed the name to Daily iFix. And then later down the road, a few years later, I changed it to my name. So, and when did I decide to go full into YouTube? So I've always like done my own thing. I always had YouTube has always been like I've always worked on it, and it's always been kind of just a hobby. Probably I would say all the way up until maybe 2016 or 2017. I made a video called RIP Daily iFix, and it's basically the transition from that name to the other name. And in that video, I kind of describe how I'm going to be, taking it serious going forward. So I think it was the end of 2017 that I actually started going full force on YouTube. I think it's because I started realizing that this could actually be a business. I mean, I knew it could be a business, but I didn't treat it like it. And I started seeing the brand deals. I started seeing, so many things. I just decided to upgrade my setup because I was very stingy and not stingy. I don't like spending a lot of money. So I didn't want to upgrade and spend so much money on a new camera and mic and all these other things. But I decided to do it and just go full force. So.
No doubt, man. No doubt. What would you say was your biggest takeaway from VidSummit?
Biggest takeaway from VidSummit? Man, I just think it's more of just, it wasn't even anything. Like there's so many talks there. A lot of people give these talks, but I think, and you probably hear this from everybody, is just that the relationships you build there are the most important. The stuff you talk about with people away from the stage is the most important. And I think just realizing, I mean, it's something that in your head, but when it happens, it's just like you realize how important those relationships are for so many different things. I mean, because when I was with just CJ and Devin in particular, when I got to CES, at the beginning of this year, we linked back up and we spent the whole time there together. And it was just like that relationship. And, they got me into like this TCL event, because we connected at VidSummit, just different things like that. I introduced them to some of the space station guys. It's just kind of, using the connections to make other connections. And just, I think that's the biggest takeaway. It's just the power of relationships.
Yeah, I tell you all the time that relationship and building relationships is critical, especially when you're in the creative space, man, because you never know what type of experiences that you can have when you are willing to build relationships with people and brands, and just open yourself up to those lines of communication could change your life, literally.
Yeah, literally.
So I'm kind of curious because I'm kind of following in your footsteps, but not exactly, but kind of, because I make Apple content, obviously. But you've been making Apple content for a long time. You're very successful. You got over 400,000 subscribers. So I'm curious, what type of brands reach out to you? Because obviously, given the fact that we both make Apple content, it can be kind of, well, I don't know, I can't say for you, but I know, I think that sometimes, I think there might be some situation where a brand may not want to approach me because if they come to my channel, all they see is Apple content, so they might feel like their stuff doesn't fit. But I'm wondering, how has your experience been with that?
Yeah, so it's a wide variety actually, and there's a lot of like different marketing companies, like influencer marketing companies, that'll reach out and have these brands already on deck. And like Space Station, who's somebody I'm working with now, they have access to tons of different brands, including Apple themselves. But it's really, I mean, I don't think I've ever had somebody who just sees my content, doesn't think it's going to be a fit. Even there's a company I just worked with after CES, or it was actually for CES, and they're called Amazfit. So they have like a smartwatch, and it was a new smartwatch that came out. And so, they asked me if I'd be interested in it and just reviewing the product. And I was like, no, but I'll compare it to the Apple Watch because that's something that my audience would understand and, and make a lot more sense to do a collaboration like that. So a lot of times when something doesn't really align with my content, I find a way to make it align. Like that has nothing to do. It's its own OS. It's not Android, it's not iOS, but I found a way to make it work by comparing it to the Apple Watch. So I kind of like to do stuff like that.
Now that's pretty cool that you give yourself that flexibility to make things work out like that, because I do some of that stuff too. Like obviously when you covering one type of content, you want to stay on that content because we all know how ruthless the YouTube algorithm can be, but you also want to like open yourself up to new different possibilities as well. So you
Right.
being flexible enough and being open-minded enough to go ahead and compare that product to the Apple Watch, because we both know if you would have made that video just on that product, it probably would have got little to no views.
Exactly.
But when you compare it to the Apple Watch, people are curious and they're intrigued, so you get views.
Exactly. And it's the same thing. I just worked with I just worked with, I forget the name. They have a Smart Scale and Withings. I just worked with Withings. They're the ones who sell the Smart Scale in the Apple Store. So it's like the all white, the clean
Oh, okay.
Smart Scale. So that was another situation where it's like, if I upload a video saying Withings Smart Scale review, who's going to watch that? So
Right.
I had to, find a way to make it work, talking about the app and why this app is a must-have for people who work out. So then all of a sudden, people when they get that notification are gonna be like, "Oh, this seems interesting. I'll click on that." Whereas if they already saw it, was just like this comes. And some people might think it's clickbait, but the reality is like you've got to know what's going to resonate with your audience and be very strategic when you make a title, thumbnail. And I always like to because some people will say that it's like clickbaity, but I always include exactly what I said in the title in the video, and I address that whether it's at the beginning or at the end. So
Yeah, like I completely agree, man. You gotta put out titles and thumbnails that will be appealing to your audience, because at the end of the day, your obligation is to your audience. A lot of times we've had talks in the tech space about working with brands and things like that and trying to appease the brand. But at the end of the day, as the creators, our number one objective is to appease our audience, because without our audience, the brand wouldn't even be looking at us. So
right.
no matter what a brand wants or tries to get from you, you better make sure that whatever going on, you are taking care of your audience first and foremost.
Right. Yeah, exactly. 100%.
So I'm curious to pick your brand, because like I said, I'm doing Apple content. You do Apple content. We do like different types of Apple content, but we both do Apple content. So you got any advice for trying to grow an Apple channel on YouTube?
This just all ties back to the research. I mean, almost everything leads to research. I mean, if you had the little lines on a graph, it would all lead to research at the end. Like that would be in the middle of the Venn diagram. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of times when I'm coming up with ideas, I will research what worked in the past, and this is kind of something I shared at VidSummit as well. But I guess I'll tell the 35 people in here as well. I just look back at what worked in the past. So like if there was something that worked in iOS 12 or with the iPhone 8, I kind of try to replicate that and put a little twist on it for the new iPhones or the new iOS, because I've already seen proof that it works. And sometimes I'll even, delve into like the Android side of things or, other phones and see what worked for that audience and kind of bring it over to Apple and the iPhone or iOS. So it's just a lot of research, and it's not even just YouTube. I'll search articles and I'll go on Reddit and look at the comments and see what are people in Reddit asking a lot of, why is this question popping up so many times? That could be a video idea. Nobody said that on, YouTube. Nobody made a video on that on YouTube, but so many people on Reddit are asking it. So it's just a lot of things like that I like to just research, and then I'll jot it down. And a lot of times it won't even be like a full video idea right away. It's just going to be like a topic. And then I kind of just sit on it for a few days and think of a video as I know the topic.
It's interesting that you say you look to what worked in the past, because sometimes I like to look at my analytics, and I like to see whatever video is getting the most views at the time and see if I can like replicate or reverse engineer that particular video, like you said. Mm-hmm. Because obviously, if it worked in the past or if it's working right now, it will probably work again, because that's what people are most interested in at that time.
Exactly. Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be a big twist either. I mean, just a minor thing could make that another video you could do, and it won't be like the same as that video. So
right,
definitely agree.
So I'm having an issue with YouTube and auto captioning. How do you handle the caption situation for your channel?
I honestly don't even do captioning at all. Like I think it auto captions for me. I have not touched that like ever on YouTube. There was a time when I was messing with it for the algorithm because it shows the CC. So I was testing to see if that made a difference. There's so many different internal tests I do, but that was one of them I did. So I did mess around with it for a few weeks, and that was like 6 or 7 months ago. So I have not touched it besides then.
So in your opinion, would you say that captioning in videos makes very little to no difference?
Yeah, no difference. No difference that I found.
See, the problem that I'm having is that every time you upload a video to YouTube, it automatically auto captions. And the issue that I'm having is that sometimes it auto captions in the wrong language. If you've been following, you already know this.
Yeah, I heard you say that.
Yeah, and the problem with that is when it auto captions it in the wrong language, it usually lands my videos in restricted mode. And I don't know if you're familiar with how restricted mode works, but when your video get put in restricted mode, they cannot be searched.
Yeah.
Actually, no, let me take that back. They cannot be searched by people who have restricted mode on their computer. Now, I know it's a very small percentage of people that have restricted mode on when they're browsing YouTube. It's usually schools and libraries and things like that. However, my concern about the whole restricted mode thing is that I am pretty sure that the YouTube algorithm suppresses those videos that are in restricted mode, even though, a small amount of people will have that mode on by default. So it shouldn't really affect the velocity and the dissemination of your video. But I am convinced that when videos are in the restricted mode, there is an effect. There is a negative effect on how video performs, and it irks the hell out of me.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, especially when the everything going on with, it's in the past with the apocalypse and things like that. They're very, very, careful now with the advertisers they bring in, very specific with who they work with, who the advertisers, advertise their content on, whose videos.
Yeah, YouTube. I mean, but it makes sense because YouTube has so many eyes on them. I mean, YouTube by default is the number 2 search engine in the world. So you already got like over 2 billion people on the platform on a monthly basis anyway. And then you got all these advertisers trying to come to the platform, discover creators and things like that. And they don't want their advertisement, they don't want their products and things like that tied to a creator that's not doing things the right way. So I get it. But some of the measures that YouTube have put in place is like, they're trying to kill me, but I'm not going nowhere though. So it's just very annoying.
Yeah, I mean, just look what's going on right now with Keemstar and Ethan Klein.
Oh man,
I mean, that's more proof that the advertisers are they're gonna cave when there's a lot of people saying, why are you still, sponsoring this person?
Let's talk about that because I think that is shady as hell what that dude did to Keemstar. I'm sorry,
both of them are in the wrong. I think because Keemstar's done it in the past too.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I know Keemstar has done a lot of things, but I mean, as far as this particular situation goes, I'm appalled that this dude H3H3 went after his sponsorship. Like, how are you going after somebody's pockets? I mean, you could dislike somebody all you want, but when you messing with their money, that's just that's a bad line to cross, man.
Yeah, and I think it's bad because all of a sudden now it's showing other people on YouTube, other creators that they could do that too. They have the power now to use that as a weapon. It's just, I think it's all bad, real bad.
It's very bad, but you know what they say, karma is the what. And
oh yeah,
definitely. Not gonna be a good look for H3. It's not gonna be a good look.
Whew.
Yeah, that I when I saw that yesterday, I'm like, are you serious? He did what? Oh man.
Yeah, and apparently it was like a suspension, but he decided to just leave. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, we will never know the whole truth about that, but that whole situation is just bananas, man.
Oh yeah, crazy.
It's bananas. So, Brandon, we cover Apple content. So, the iPhone 12 is coming later this year. There's a whole bunch of rumors and speculation going around. Promotion, no promotion, 5G, doesn't even matter. Actually, let's start there. What are your thoughts on 5G as it currently stands?
I don't have a lot of thoughts on 5G just because I'm not super educated on it. And I know there's people that are extremely educated on it. So I know a little bit about it, and I'm not one of the anti-5G people. I think it's great for what it does. I think we're still a ways away from seeing it to its full potential, especially because you have to be so close now for it to actually be beneficial and actually practical. But yeah, I mean, I think it'd be great if they put 5G on these iPhones. I just don't think it's going to be a huge selling point until at least a year from now.
No, I completely agree with you because we're still like so limited in the areas that actually have 5G. So it is almost impossible right now for 5G to be a major factor in buying a phone because the coverage area is so limited right now.
Right. Yeah. And I just saw recently that AT&T declined to take the 5G off their phones. Did you see that? So
I thought a headline that they are going to finally stop doing that. So you're saying that they're what?
No, I saw a headline that said they're not, and it's just going to be like it's misleading, and people are getting upset with AT&T for leaving that on there, even though it's not true 5G.
Man, but that's the thing. These carriers are all trying to push it like hard, and just to make the money and things like that, because obviously these 5G devices are more expensive, especially if you're using the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865. It's like devices are at least $100 more with that chip in them alone. So carriers are really trying to push the 5G agenda, even though it's like you said, it's very premature to be touting 5G right now.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I think the promotion display would be, if that actually happens, would be huge.
All right, so let's get into that a little bit more because I've talked to several people like MKBHD about promotion and is it really that important and things like that. So what are your thoughts on promotion or 120 hertz refresh rate?
I think it's great. But the reality is that 90+% of people are probably not going to tell a difference when they're using the phone. Like when you're just scrolling through a phone, most people probably aren't going to notice the difference. So I think it's great for gaming and stuff like that and for limited use cases, but it's great marketing. It'll be great marketing if they have that, especially when it's going to come in at a cheaper price than the S20 Ultra. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's that big of a deal right now. It really doesn't fundamentally change the way we use the phone. But I will admit, though, having used a device with a 120 hertz refresh rate next to a device with a 60 hertz refresh rate, you can definitely feel a difference if you're using
Side by side,
those side by side. But most people won't be using them side by side. And at the end of the day, unless, like you said, unless you're gaming, it's not a huge improvement or a big deal.
Right.
But yeah, so other details about the iPhone 12. So yeah, we got promotion, we got the 5G. What are your thoughts on what's happening with AR, the LiDAR scanner, and all that good stuff?
I love the whole technology behind the LiDAR scanner. I've talked about this with people with the Teslas. I don't think Teslas with the full self-driving is going to actually be a thing until they put LiDAR scanners in the Tesla. So I haven't heard any rumors about that, but I think that's going to be a big part of self-driving on a Tesla. But anyway, but yeah, no, I love the LiDAR scanner. I mean, I have it on the iPad Pro, the new 2020 iPad Pro, and it's great. Using it side by side with something like any other iPhone, and trying to do like the Measure or the IKEA app or whatever. And it's a huge difference in how much more accurate the LiDAR scanner makes, rendering 3D objects. So I think it's actually a much bigger deal than people think.
Yeah, and we know that Apple is using all the LiDAR data right now to fine tune the AR glasses. So if they have all that data and they're fine tuning the AR glasses, then those AR glasses, even in their first generation, will be quite the experience with all the LiDAR data that they have on deck. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I feel like they were just testing with the iPad Pro. Like a lot of people were like, oh, why does iPad Pro have a LiDAR scanner? Like, I'm not going to use my iPad Pro for that. But I think in Apple's mind, it was almost like a beta test. They're testing it out to see how it works before the iPhone, before the AR glasses, and just kind of, using what people say is wrong with it and making it better for the iPhone and the stuff that really matters about having the LiDAR scanner.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And this is not the first time that Apple has done stuff like this. I had an Apple Watch 3, and I participated in the Stanford Heart Study. And we know that Apple used all that data from that heart study to put those features on the Apple Watch 3 4, like the ECG, the heart monitoring, all that good stuff. So it's cool what Apple was able to do with the data that they are able to accumulate from how we use these products, and then they fine tune future products and make the best possible customer experience for us.
Yeah, I mean, just like with the new Apple Watch coming out, the features I'm hearing about that health related with being able to detect panic attacks for people with anxiety and things like that are just like huge. I mean, that's going to be the marketing for that. I mean, it doesn't even need marketing, just to tell somebody that they can, sense that coming, or, they can tell it's coming from their watch. I think it's just amazing because there's so many people that suffer from anxiety and, have panic attacks and would love to know when one's coming on if they can't already feel it. So.
Yeah, man. I think that one day the Apple Watch will be bigger than the iPhone. Definitely.
Really? Wow. I don't know about that, but I think it's I think it's still in its infancy, and it's going to be much bigger than it is now.
Yeah, they're just scratching the surface with the Apple Watch. But think about it. I mean, the Apple Watch is the only consumer electronic device, the mainstream one anyway, that can save your life. I mean, whew.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's major.
Yeah, and I mean that paired with the new AirPods, they're talking about having the what was the health feature in the new AirPods that was rumored? I think it was your temperature or something like that. I mean, pairing that with the Apple Watch is just like, man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, it is amazing things that are going on over there at Cupertino. I mean, every year they're getting better and better with these things. It's crazy.
Yeah, the medical ID that's on your iPhone. I mean, in iOS 13.5, there's a new feature that allows you to send all your data to emergency services when you activate emergency SOS. So you don't have to wait for them to get there. It automatically sends them that data if you toggle this feature on in iOS 13.5, which I think is huge. And I think that the medical ID on the iPhone is so overlooked by a lot of people, and I don't understand why, because it could quite literally save your life. If something were to happen to you, if you were to get in an accident, just down the street driving, and person can't identify you, but your phone, emergency responders get there and they know what to do with your phone to access all your information, your blood type, do you have any conditions, heart conditions, your age, your weight, like all this stuff they could see with that. So I think a lot of people, or everybody, should have that set up if they don't have it set up on their iPhone.
No doubt, man. Just like fall detection on the Apple Watch 3, 4 and above. Exactly. I mean, when we first heard about it, people are like, oh, for the old people, like, no. You don't understand.
Mhm.
Even young people should have fall detection turned on because that works in a variety of situations. If you get into an accident or something like that, that could be triggered. And the
Yeah.
funny thing that about me is that I have falsely triggered it a lot of times during my introduction for my live stream.
All
So
that energy.
yeah, it works. Let me tell you, that fall detection thing works too good, but it works, man. But you never know when
That's
you might
funny.
legitimately need it though, and
Exactly.
it automatically contacts the emergency services, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good
Yeah.
look, man.
Yeah. I mean, it could even be as simple as falling down your stairs. You know, you
Yep.
misstep and fall down the stairs, and next thing you know, you hit your head on something, you're knocked out. You don't even realize that you're 16 years old, didn't think you'd ever need it, and there you are.
Life is funny that way, man. You really never know.
No, never know.
So you know that right now we are in an unprecedented situation in the world. We're dealing with the pandemic and things like that. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on when do you think that we will return to a sense of normalcy as far as like going to concerts and tech events and things like that.
So I'm in Florida, so we're home with the crazy. So really, here it's just like everybody thinks it's back to normal. Like people are going to the beach, going out to the bars, going out to eat, everything already, and just
Wow.
no care, no masks. Typical Florida. So, but for the rest of the world, I think for the rest of the U.S., I think I don't know, probably a couple more months, I would say. I mean, because even the theme parks are starting to open again, so it's slowly starting to seem like it's going to be back to normal pretty soon. But the reality is, I don't think anything's going to be normal again, like ever. So, I mean, nobody's going to look at a cough the same anymore, I don't think, at least not for the next like 10 plus years. If somebody gets coughed on or coughed around, I think a lot of people are going to have PTSD from this. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as concerts and stuff like that, I think that may be a little bit further out, but just general stuff reopening, I think that's within the next few months.
So speaking of tech events, I'm pretty sure you've been to some tech events, right?
I only went to VidSummit and CES.
Ah, okay. So how was your experience at CES?
CES was awesome. CES was great. It was kind of a VidSummit 2.0 with a lot more walking and a lot better food. Um, but yeah, CES was crazy. I mean, I had heard a lot and I watched a lot. I did a lot of research, believe it or not, on CES before I went. So I kind of knew what to expect. But it still just came back down to connecting with the people I'd already made relationships with. I had a internet relationship with Aaron Zolotech. So I met up with him for the first time there. And, so it was stuff like that. And it was just really cool meeting the companies, the people behind, even if it's not the actual president of the company or whatever, but the PR people for the companies. It was cool talking with them. There's people I've emailed before that I was able to actually meet and, put a face to the name, things like that. So I thought it was really cool and super tiring. A lot of lugging around backpacks and a lot of walking, but it was fun.
Yeah, I hope one day to get to CES, but with the way the world currently going, who the hell knows when there's going to be another CES? Because I am firmly in the belief that there will be no CES 2021.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate, but I mean, we got people talking about how they think that CES 2020 was ground zero for this whole thing. So
I read that. I wouldn't doubt it either.
Yeah, like you got people from all over the world coming to the biggest tech event of the year in the world or whatnot. It could have very well been ground zero, but there's no way in hell knowing that they're going to have a CES 2021.
Like, yeah, I don't think it's happening.
And even if Las Vegas does decide to throw it, brands aren't going to show up. Not really.
No, yeah, it's gonna be the weakest one yet if they have it for sure.
Yeah. So not at all.
Yeah.
By any chance, do you happen to be a gamer?
I actually used to be really into gaming, so I used to play Call of Duty competitively back in 2000. I played Call of Duty 4 all the way up until probably like Black Ops 2 competitively. So yeah, I have a lot of gaming experience. Obviously, recently I've been so busy with YouTube and a lot of other things that I haven't really gamed super hard anytime within the past few years. But yeah, I used to be really into gaming.
Now, are you PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation. All the way. Always have been.
Man, I used to have a PlayStation 4, and playing Call of Duty on a PlayStation controller is not the easiest thing in the world.
Really? Maybe it's just because I'm used to it.
It kind of the handles are kind of slippery when you get all your palm get sweaty and you get into it, man. It's kind of slippery. I don't know, but I mean, a lot of people do it. So
I'm not a fan of the Xbox controller. I'm the minority there. But yeah, I think it's just like I said. I think it's because I just grew up with PS4. I mean, I had a PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4. That's it. So I don't know. The Xbox controller was always just kind of too wide on the back end for like my ring finger. So I just never cared for that, especially for like shooter games.
Man, like the Xbox controller is the best thing ever for shooter games, in my opinion. But hey, you gotta go what you're most comfortable with, man.
Exactly.
No
It's
doubt.
like Android, iOS, same thing.
So what you got coming up video wise?
iOS 14, we're about a month away. So I've already, for the past month, I've already been planning video. So it's gonna be 2 months in advance. I've already planned. I have about 16 videos I have planned for iOS 14 so far, scripted out and everything, with just kind of fill in the blank type stuff for depending on what actually happens with iOS 14. So that's really my main focus right now. Obviously, right now the iPhone SE just turned about a month old, so I have a video coming up on the iPhone SE a month later because I did use that for 2 weeks as my only device. Didn't have my 11 Pro Max anywhere near me. But yeah, a lot of iOS 14 stuff and just a lot of revisiting some of the older phones.
Okay. So I'm curious as to your thoughts on these AirPods Studios that are supposed to be announced at WWDC.
I will instantly be getting them. I think the over-ear headphones I've been waiting on for a long time. I had some like cheap Bluetooth wireless headphones, but I really haven't bought any headphones since these, which are all, look at these things.
Oh my
I've
Lord.
had these for so long. And so I need some new Bluetooth over-ear headphones. And
You do.
I think I've been waiting and waiting. I was looking at the ones that you have right now, the Sonys.
Yeah.
But I could never pull the trigger. But I feel like with Apple's, I think I'm gonna have to buy them.
Wait. Time out. You can never pull the trigger, man. You must stop playing and go and get you, man. What?
Hey, with the AirPods Pro, I have no need for them.
All right, the AirPods Pro are nice, but my issue with the AirPods Pro is that they move around too much in my ears. I mean, they don't fall out, but they definitely move around too much.
Yeah, when I'm talking, I have to do this a little bit, but
you ain't got to worry about that with over ears, baby. They on there.
That's true.
And these are the best of the best right now, bro. They nothing mess with these. Whew. Man. Oh my goodness.
Yes, I'm getting the PS5, Maurice. Definitely.
Oh, of course. That's right. I was going to ask, are you getting the Xbox too? But you said you're a PS guy, so you're not getting the Xbox, probably. That's right.
Yeah, probably not. Unless it's something crazy.
I saw a clip of some PS5 gameplay on Twitter the other day. It looked pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I wasn't too impressed with it. I saw it too, but I feel like it's one of those things you may have to see in person because on video it just looked like PS4 footage. So it didn't really do anything for me, but I'm sure that when you actually see it in person, it's gonna be nice.
Yeah, these consoles that are coming are supposed to be a massive upgrade over their previous generation. So we shall see about that.
And I saw Microsoft was waiting, apparently, allegedly waiting on Sony to release the price of the PS5 so they can undercut them by like $100.
Oh man, that's funny.
So it's come to that, but yeah, that's pretty interesting. That's the case.
So, Josh, thank you for the $2.99, sir. I appreciate you hanging out with me and Brandon tonight, as well as all of you all. So thank you guys for hanging out in the live chat.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
MacBook gaming, Saunders. I have gamed a little bit on the MacBook, not too much.
Yeah, nobody does that.
Exactly.
Nobody does that.
They get a PC.
So anything besides Apple products, anything big you're looking forward to this year as far as tech goes?
Not really. Just the Apple stuff is really just all that's on my mind right now. So yeah, that's really it. Nothing else. The new Pixel, when that comes out, could be interesting depending on where they decide to go with that and how they plan to do the Pixel 5, 5A, whatever they decide to do. Could be pretty interesting. I do like the Pixel phones a lot. So we'll have to see. There's not anything out there to get me excited for it yet. So as of right now, all the rumors and everything for Apple, how much they've been hitting, it's just like all that's in my mind. So that's what I'm excited for.
This man is a true Apple fan, no doubt.
Yes.
Brandon, Butch, it's been a great conversation, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we get out of here, let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me at Brandon Butch on pretty much everything. If not, you could just search for my name. I think on Facebook, I'm still BB's iPod Touch Show, but just search my name. You'll find me.
No doubt. For those of y'all watching the live stream on YouTube, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. For those of y'all that super chatted, brought a coffee or any of that good stuff, thank you. Again, I did put out a video right before this podcast went live. So if you guys want to go check that out real quick for me, that'd be cool. I just pasted the link in the chat for the recent video that I just put out. So please go give that a click. It's my 1 week thoughts of the new iPad Pro 2020. So I've had it for a week. Just put out my thoughts on video. So please go check that out over on the main channel. Thank you. Thank you. For those of y'all listening on audio only, thank you for listening to the podcast this week. Appreciate you guys as always. Again, if you would like to support the podcast in any way, please check the show notes if you are so willing. Also, if you happen to be listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving a rating or review as it helps more people discover VypDrive. Shout out to Thunder Tech with the super chat. Says, yo, Brandon, what steps did you take to transition from the jailbreaking niche to covering iOS updates and Apple coverage?
Great question. And I've been asked this a lot. So what steps did I take to transition? So really it was like, it was a slow transition just because I'd already had the thought in my head for a while. And really the reason I did, let me start with the reason I did it. So the reason I think is probably pretty apparent to a lot of people is that it's very risky. I mean, because it's always been a gray area. A lot of people used to think it's illegal. It was never, or it was illegal at one point, but it's been legal for majority of the time. But a lot of people still think it's illegal. And it's a very gray area. So I always kind of knew in the back of my head that it was like risky, and I could get a strike for this. I can get taken down. So there came a point when I started treating it more as a business, and when I decided to put all that money and that time into it, I didn't want something that was going to be so easily just taken away from me. And I felt like jailbreaking and stuff like that was very much risky. So, and then also I wanted to get invited to the Apple events and stuff like that, like everybody else does. So Apple wasn't going to invite a jailbreaking YouTuber to an Apple event. So, but basically both of those things combined. And then the way I did it was, I didn't really make a video like saying I'm going to do that on YouTube. I kind of just announced it on Twitter. And then I just slowly stopped making the videos on YouTube, and people kind of got the hint, and I would reply to their comments saying it. So that's really how it went.
Yep. And I mean, I just watched the video from Thunder Tech about his relationship with Apple, and yeah, they don't look too kindly on people that leak their information. So he's not lying.
I mean,
if you got
Unbox Therapy too is pretty crazy to see how Apple is. I mean, they don't care how big you are.
No, they don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's that whole situation is crazy too.
It is. If you guys want to go check out Brandon's channel, I think El Jefe just pasted the link to check out my man Brandon Butch. So definitely go give him a look. He is definitely legit. Like I said, this dude, one of the biggest tech channels in the Apple space, over 400,000 subscribers and growing. I need to take note from this man. My goodness. Whoo!
Hey, I'm here.
No doubt. But that is going to be it for the podcast. Once again, thank you all for hanging out. Tomorrow night on Friday Night Vype, we have an entire brand coming to the podcast. I mean, not the podcast, the live stream. Nomad Goods and coming to Friday Night Vype, which is the first time I've ever had an actual brand. Oh, yes. This is my favorite one. Oh, God, I love this thing. These are awesome.
I love Nomad. Cool dudes over there. Met them at CES. Chuck and the gang. Super cool people.
Yep, I think Chuck is going to be on the stream with me tomorrow night, and I think he might try to frown on some other people from Nomad. So tomorrow night, I'm going to be talking with the people over at Nomad on a live stream. So definitely come for that. On Sunday night, I'm having a ladies' night live stream. So I'm going to have some of my female creator friends here on Sunday night hanging out. It's a holiday weekend, so we're going to do that. But until the next time, people, this your boy Viper, the man about tech. You know where to find me. So come back for more.